What if the world's most baffling mystery were solved, and it led to even more chilling questions? In the quiet, sun-soaked sands of Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia, the lifeless body of a man was discovered over 70 years ago. He had no name, no identification, and no answers. But after decades of silence, researchers have unveiled a shocking revelation. The identity of the mysterious Somerton Man was finally uncovered. But what it revealed and the unanswered questions that followed might just send a chill down your spine. On the morning of December 1st, 1948, something terrifying was discovered on the shores of Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia. It was a man's body, impeccably dressed in a suit and tie, with no visible signs of trauma. The scene was peculiar. He had no wallet, no identification, and no sign of personal belongings that could help solve the case. Yet, there was a half-smoked cigarette resting on his collar and a scrap of paper tucked away in his pocket, featuring just 2 words written in Persian, Tamam Shud, which means, "It is finished." This is the story of the Somerton Man, a case that remained unsolved for over 70 years. His identity was a mystery that kept the world on edge, prompting wild theories, including the possibility that he was a Russian spy. However, the truth that came to light in 2022 was even more eerie than anyone could have imagined. The mystery of the Somerton Man grew into a haunting riddle. Why was this well-dressed man found dead on a beach in Adelaide with no name, no identification, and no signs of how he died? What had he been carrying with him? How did he end up there in such a mysterious state? And who left behind the cryptic messages that followed him? In the days following the discovery of the body, authorities were puzzled. There were no obvious clues about the man's identity. The tags had been removed from his clothes, a strange and unsettling detail that led investigators to believe that someone wanted him to remain nameless. But even stranger were the items found with him: bus and train tickets, chewing gum, a matchbook, and 2 combs. Nothing that could connect him to a person or a place. But there was that Persian poem on the piece of paper in his pocket, a line from a poem called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, which seemed to suggest a secret, a message left by someone who wanted to disappear. The most unsettling thing was the piece of paper with the words Tamam Shud. This phrase, which translates to "it is finished," seemed like an ominous clue. It suggested that the story wasn't just about the man's death, it was about something more. What did it mean? Was it a message? A warning? A confession? Despite the best efforts of detectives and forensic experts, the case went cold. The identity of the man remained unknown, and the theories around him grew wilder. Was he a foreign spy? Was he the victim of a covert operation? Or was it something even more sinister? The more investigators dug, the more they realized that the case had all the hallmarks of a well-orchestrated mystery that defied logic and reason. In the decades that followed, numerous theories about the man's identity and the circumstances surrounding his death were proposed. Some believed he was part of an international spy network, possibly a Russian agent, due to the cryptic clues and the fact that Australia was an ally of the United States during the Cold War. The possibility that he was a secret agent, murdered for some covert purpose, made this case all the more eerie. Others suggested that the Somerton Man may have been involved in some kind of illicit activity, and his death was the result of a botched deal or an attempt to silence him. As the years passed, the case became one of Australia's greatest unsolved mysteries. The image of the well-dressed anonymous man found on Somerton Beach with no clues or explanation haunted the imagination of many, sparking documentaries, books, and countless theories. And then, just as the case was starting to fade from the public's memory, a breakthrough occurred. In 2022, Derek Abbott, a professor at the University of Adelaide, decided to take another look at the case. Abbott, who had been fascinated by the mystery for years, began collaborating with Colleen Fitzpatrick, a forensic scientist and expert in cold cases. This time, they had something that had been unavailable for decades: DNA. Forensic science had advanced considerably since the 1940s, and Abbott and Fitzpatrick were able to obtain DNA samples from the Somerton Man's remains. They used these to create a family tree, which led them to an incredible revelation. The Somerton Man was Carl Webb, an Australian electrical engineer born in 1905. The moment they confirmed the identity of the man was a turning point in the case. However, while they had solved one mystery, many others remained unsolved. Who was Carl Webb really? How did he end up on Somerton Beach? And why had he been left in such a mysterious and anonymous state? Webb's background was nothing like the theories that had initially surrounded the case. He wasn't a Russian spy, nor was he involved in any covert activities. Webb was born and raised in Melbourne, Australia. He was the youngest of 6 children, and throughout his life, he worked as an electrical engineer. Webb had been married to Dorothy Doff Robertson, but they had separated years before his death. Some researchers believe that he may have traveled to Adelaide in search of his estranged wife, but why he ended up on that beach, with no identification, no explanation, and a cryptic message in his pocket, remains a chilling mystery. The breakthrough in identifying Webb came after years of DNA testing and research. Abbott and Fitzpatrick created a detailed family tree, sifting through 4,000 names before landing on Carl Webb. The final confirmation came when they were able to match the DNA with living relatives of Webb. This step brought the family closure, but it also opened up new avenues for investigation. Abbott revealed that Webb had separated from his wife and might have gone to Adelaide to find her, but the case is far from being fully resolved. The cryptic message, the Tamam Shud, left behind by Webb, still remains one of the most intriguing aspects of the case. What was its significance? Was it a clue pointing to something deeper, something darker? Could it have been a message of finality? A sign that Webb knew something dangerous was coming his way? Despite all the new information, the case of Carl Webb, aka the Somerton Man, continues to haunt researchers. There are still unanswered questions. What happened to Dorothy Robertson? Why did Webb's life end in such an eerie and unexplained way? The answers, for now, remain elusive. In addition to this mystery, Abbott and Fitzpatrick continue to call for a toxicological examination of Webb's body to determine if poison played a role in his death. Was Webb murdered? Or did he die under suspicious circumstances unrelated to foul play? Only a thorough toxicological investigation might provide some answers. Now that you know the eerie tale of the Somerton Man, we want to hear from you. What do you think happened to Carl Webb? Was his death a result of espionage? Or is there something darker at play? Could his estranged wife hold the final piece of the puzzle? The mystery of the Somerton Man may have been solved, but the questions remain. What do you believe happened? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories that will leave you wondering what lies behind the next unsolved mystery.